be starting our pre-bid conference. Before we start, may we request everyone to please stand for a short prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us all today in this important endeavor. We ask that you bestow your guidance and blessing upon each attendee. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. Bless everyone present today, that each may be able to share his or her contributions and gifts. Grant good health and safety to loved ones left outside this room, and bestow peace and goodwill to all of us. We ask for the wisdom and grace to use our talents for the betterment of others. May the various activities related to this day be a success through your intervention. With gratitude, we offer this prayer in your name. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Before we start, may I request the back secretariat to conduct roll call of the attendees to determine if we have a quorum.
Good morning po. For today's pre-bid conference, the following are the attendees. Engineer Arman Ibareta, Back Chairperson.
Present.
Engineer Philip Salvadora, Back Vice Chairperson. For regular back member, Engineer Joanna Marie Manaog.
Present.
Ms. Maria Corazon Bruca.
Present.
For provisional back member, Engineer Nilbert Alvarez.
Present.
For end user representative, Engineer Joe Justin Peter Platado. For DWG members, Engineer Jaylin Alba, Engineer Mark Anthony Bayos, Engineer Cyrene Cañeso. For back secretariat, Engineer Maria Chini Legacion. For back members, Engineer Elizabeth Olieres, Ms. Dolores Casiao, yours truly, Micaela Mencero, Engineer Poylan S. Herno,
Present.
and for our observer, Ms. Lisa P. Arroyo. That's all po. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, back members, CWG, back secretariat, and to our observer. As per attendance, we are in quorum, so this pre-bid conference is now in order. We are convened today, March 18, 2026, at Procurement Unit Office, DPWH Camarines Sur 5th District Engineering Office for the pre-bid conference of the following projects entitled 25 FM 0054, Construction of School Building, Iriga City Science High School, Barangay Salvacion, Iriga City, Camarines Sur. 25 FM 0055, Construction of School Building, Rinconada National Technical Vocational School, Barangay Domingo, Iriga City, Camarines Sur. And 25 FM 0056, Repair or Rehabilitation of Classrooms, Bula Central School, Bula, Camarines Sur. Morning, sir. May I request the DWG to discuss the contract data?
The project with contract ID number 25FN0054 is the construction of school building Iriga City Science High School located in Barangay Salvacion, Iriga City, Camarines Sur. The approved budget for the contract is 19,900,000 with contract duration of 138 calendar days. Are their size range small b. The cost of bidding documents is 25,000. The scope of work of the project is construction of school building 1 story. The project with contract ID number 25FN0055 is the construction of school building Rinconada National Technical Vocational School located in Barangay Santo Domingo, Iriga City, Camarines Sur. The approved budget for the contract is 19,900,000 with contract duration of 146 calendar days. Under size range small b, the cost of bidding documents is 25,000 and the scope of work of the project is construction school building 2-story. And for number 3, the project with contract ID number 25FN0056 is repair, rehabilitation of classrooms Bula Central School, Bula, Camarines Sur, located in Barangay Sagrada, Bula, Camarines Sur. The approved budget for the contract is 10,350,000 with contract duration of 175 calendar days. Under size range small b, the cost of bidding documents is 25,000. The scope of work of the project is repair, rehabilitation of 15 classrooms.
Thank you. Now let's call the end user representative, Engineer Plitado, to cover the requirements of bidding documents.
So for the requirement of the bidding documents, so 15.5. In case of permanent structures, such as buildings of types 4 and 5 as classified under the National Building Code of the Philippines, and other structures made of steel, iron, or concrete which comply with relevant structural codes, example DPWH standard specifications, such as but not limited to steel or concrete bridges, flyovers, aircraft movements areas, ports, dams, tunnels, filtration and treatment plants, sewerage systems, power plants, transmission and communication towers, railway system, and other similar permanent structures 15 years. Eligibility requirements for contract ID number 25FN0054. So, for major categories of work of the contract to be procured, BICWOPLC. The scope of works are construction of building 1 story. The major categories of work for the contract to be procured, BICWOPLC, buildings, construction without piles, low-rise concrete frame 1 to 5 story. Unit of measure, story. Dimension, 1. Similar major categories of work. BICWPHCCP, building, construction with piles, high-rise, concrete frame, cast-in-place, piles 6 and above stories. BICWPHCCP 16, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise, concrete frame, cast-in-place, piles 16 and above stories. BIRTM, buildings, retrofitting, medium-rise, 6 to 15 story. BICWPLCCP, buildings, construction with piles, low-rise, concrete frame, cast-in-place, piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWPHCDP, building, construction with piles, high-rise, concrete frame, driven, piles 6 and above stories. BICWPLCDP, buildings, construction with piles, low-rise, concrete frame, driven, piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWOPHC, buildings, construction without piles, high-rise, concrete frame, 6 and above stories. BICWOPHC 16, buildings, construction without piles, high-rise, concrete frame, 16 and above stories. BICWPMCDP, buildings, construction with piles, medium-rise, concrete frame, driven, 6 to 15 stories. BICWPMCCP, buildings, construction with piles, medium-rise, concrete frame, cast-in-place piles, 6 to 15 stories. BICWOPMC, building, construction without piles, medium-rise, concrete frame, 6 to 15 stories. For ID 25FN055, the major categories of the work, BICWOPLC, buildings, construction without piles, low-rise, concrete frame, 1 to 5 story, unit of measure, story, Dimension 2. Similar major categories of work: BICWPHCCP, building construction with piles, high-rise, concrete frame cast-in-place piles, and 6 and above stories. BICWPHCCP 16, buildings construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame cast-in-place piles, 16 and above stories. BIRTM, buildings retrofitting, medium-rise 6 to 15 stories. BICWP LCCP, buildings construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame cast in place to piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWPHCDP, buildings construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame driven piles 6 and above stories. BICWPHCDP 16, buildings construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame driven piles 16 and above stories. BICWPLCDP, buildings construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame driven piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWOPHC, buildings construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame 6 and above stories. BICWOPHC 16, buildings construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame 16 and above stories. BICWPMCDP, buildings construction with piles, medium-rise concrete frame driven piles 6 to 15 stories. BICWPMCCP, buildings construction with piles, medium-rise concrete frame cast-in-place piles 6 to 15 stories. BICWOPMC, buildings construction without piles, medium-rise concrete frame 6 to 15 stories. For contract ID number 25FN056, the scope of works are rehabilitation, repair and rehabilitation of classrooms. Major categories of work: the contract to be procured, BIR, buildings, repair, unit of measure, story, dimension 1. Similar major categories of work: BRTH, buildings, retrofitting, high-rise. BIRTH 16, buildings, retrofitting, high-rise 16 and above stories. BRTM, buildings, retrofitting, medium-rise 6 to 15 stories. BIRTL, buildings, retrofitting, low-rise 1 to 5 stories. BICWPL-CDP, buildings, construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame, driven piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWPHCDP, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, driven piles 6 and above stories. BICWPHCDP 16, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, driven piles 16 and above stories. BICWPLCCP, buildings, construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame, cast-in-place piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWPHCCP, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, cast-in-place piles 6 and above stories. BICWPHCCP 16, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, cast-in-place piles 16 and above stories. BIRTH, buildings, retrofitting, high-rise. BICWPSDP, buildings, construction with piles, low-rise steel frame, driven piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWPHSDP, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise steel frame, driven piles 6 and above stories. BICWPHSDP 16, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise steel frame, driven piles 16 and above stories. BICWPLSCP, buildings, construction with piles, low-rise steel frame, cast-in-place piles 1 to 5 stories. BICWPHSCP, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise steel frames, cast-in-place piles 6 and above stories. BICWPHSCP 16, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise steel frame, cast-in-place piles 16 and above stories. BICWOPLS, buildings, construction without piles, low-rise steel frame 1 to 5 stories. BICWOPHS, buildings, construction without piles, high-rise steel frame 6 and above stories. BICWOPH 16, S16, buildings, construction without piles, high-rise steel frame and 16 and above stories. BICWO PLC, buildings construction without piles, low-rise concrete frame 1 to 5 stories. BICWO PHC, buildings construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame. BICWO PHC 16, buildings construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame 16 and above stories. BICWP MCDP, buildings construction with piles, medium-rise concrete frame driven piles 6 to 15 stories. BICWP MCCP, buildings construction with piles, medium-rise concrete frames, cast-in-place piles 6 to 15 stories. BICWOPMC, buildings construction without piles, medium-rise concrete frame 6 to 15 stories. BICWPMSDP, buildings construction with piles, medium-rise steel frame driven piles 6 to 15 stories. BICWPMSCP, buildings construction with piles, medium-rise steel frame cast-in-place piles 6 to 15 stories. BICWOPMS, buildings construction without piles, medium-rise steel frame 6 to 15 stories. BIC, building completion. BRN, building renovation. And BIRS, building restoration. That's all.
Thank you. May I turn over the discussion of the TWG with regards to bid data sheet of the contract?
Thank you, Sir Arman. Under Section 3 or the bid data sheet for contract ID number 25FN0054 to 25FN0056, only accredited project engineers may be assigned to DPWH projects, subject to the following limits assignment. For regional or district offices, classification PE2, limits of assignment 10 contracts located within the same province for simultaneous assignments, each costing more than 150 million. For PE1, the limits of assignment is 11 contracts located within the same province for simultaneous assignments, each costing more than 100 million to 150 million. For provisional project engineer, 10 contracts located within the same province for simultaneous assignments, each costing less than 100 million. The minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel are the following. The required is 50% of ABC of each contract. Project manager, general experience 5 years, relevant experience 3 years. Attach valid and updated government issued IDs with 3 signatures. Project engineers and materials engineers must be accredited by the DPWH attached accreditation. For project engineer, general experience 5 years, relevant experience 3 years. For materials engineer, general experience 3 years, relevant experience 3 years. For safety and health officer, the general experience is 5 years, relevant experience 3 years. Remarks, safety officer with attached certificate of training issued by DOLE and valid and updated government issued IDs with 3 signatures. Certified first aider with attached certificate of training issued by Red Cross and valid and updated government issued IDs with 3 signatures. For foreman, general experience is 5 years, relevant experience 3 years. Attached valid and updated government signature issued IDs with 3 signatures. Additional requirements for contractors key personnel. 1. The affidavit of commitment to work must include each personnel's tax identification number or TIN. Number 2. The list of contractors key personnel to be assigned to the contract must include their qualification data or curriculum vitae. Number 3. An affidavit stating that the pledged project engineer and materials engineers number of projects handled simultaneously does not exceed 10 contracts. Number 4. Submission of professional tax receipt for applicable personnel. Number 5. Firm's DOLE certificate of registration in compliance to Rule 1020 of the Labor Code of the Philippines. Number 6. Implementation of ISO 9001-2015 or the certification requirement for large A, medium B, and medium A contractors as per DEO 110 series of 2024.
For the, for the minimum major equipment required for contract ID 25FN0054, to 25 FN 0056, prospective bidders may view it on the bid data sheet, clause 12.1, page III of each bidding documents posted in the PhilJet, DPWH and PhilJet's website. List of contractors' equipment pledge for the contract, DPWH-INFR-15, must be filled.
Check.
List of contractors' equipment pledge for the contract, DPWH-INFR-15, must be filled out completely and properly. Submitted proof of ownership must specify and indicate the model, year, capacity, performance, size, plate number, motor number, body number, chassis serial number, engine serial number, specific location and condition per Department Order 58 Series of 2012. Also, the contractor is required to provide proofs of ownership and other supporting documents for equipment owned, lease agreement for equipment to be leased, and OR under purchase agreement. They must also submit certificate of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor or vendor for the duration of the project. Accreditation of asphalt and Portland cement concrete batching plants in the procurement of contracts for infrastructure works shall be imposed pursuant to DO number 253, series of 2003. Bidders are reminded that only concrete and asphalt mixes produced by duly accredited plants shall be used in DPWH projects. For accredited safety officer required upon issuance of notice of award, is subject to DO 241 series of 2024. Guidelines on the processing, approval, and reporting system of construction safety and health program, CSHP, for the DPWH infrastructure projects. First aider with certificate of training issued by Red Cross in compliance with dwelling requirements for the approval of construction safety and health program is required upon issuance of notice of award, also subject to DO 241 series of 2024. Guidelines on the processing, approval, and reporting system of construction safety and health program for the DPWH infrastructure projects. The DPWH approved CSHP is a requirement for the processing and approval of the contract agreement. Moreover, no claims by the contractor, advance payment, or first progress billing shall be processed and paid without the submission of DPWH approved CSHP. Minimum materials testing equipments requirements for the project for the minimum contractors per DO 11 series of 2017 and DO 127 series of 2018. Strict application of RA 9184 in the conduct of post-qualification of bidders with delayed ongoing contracts with DPWH. Bids will only be valid until 120 calendar days from the date of opening of bids.
This is room for the discussion of documents to be submitted by the bidders and criteria and procedure for eligibility check, preliminary examination of bids, detailed evaluation of bids, post-qualification and award.
Good morning. For legal documents, letter A, valid PhilJet's registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages. Bidders should make sure that Annex A of PhilJet certificate must reflect updated dates. And letter B, for technical documents, statement of the prospective bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started. If any, please take note that the list of the projects you are submitting shall match in data. Letter C, statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract, similar to the contract to be bid, except under conditions provided under the rules and must be supported by the contractor performance evaluation system, with rating at least satisfactory for DPWH government contracts or an honor certificate of final acceptance or equivalent for private sector contracts. And letter D, Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or PCAB license, ISO certified as per DEO 110 series of 2024, or special PCAB license in case of joint ventures, and registration for the type and cost of the contract to be bid. And letter E, original copy of bid security. If in the form of a surety bond, submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission, or original copy of notarized bid securing declaration. And letter F, project requirements, which shall include the following. Number 1, organizational chart for the contract. Number 2, list of contractors, key personnel to be assigned to the contract with their qualification data. Number 3, list of contractors, major construction equipment units to be assigned to the contract, supported by certification of availability. And number 4, list of contractors, minimum materials, testing equipment units to be assigned to the contract, supported by certifications of availability. Letter G, original duly signed omnibus form statement, and if applicable, original notarized secretary's certificate in case of corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture, giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and do acts to represent the bidder. And letter H, latest general information sheet duly received by Securities and Exchange Commission. And letter I, sworn affidavit eligibility and beneficial ownership. Letter J, for financial documents, the prospective bidders audited financial statements showing, among others, the prospective bidders' total and current assets and liabilities, stamped received by the BIR or its duly accredited and authorized institutions for the preceding calendar year, which should not be earlier than 2 years from the date of bid submission. And letter K, the prospective bidders' computation of net financial contracting capacity. For Class B documents, if applicable, duly signed joint venture agreement in accordance with RA number 4566 and its IRR in case the joint venture is already in existence, or duly notarized statement from all the potential joint venture partners stating that we will enter into and abide by the provisions of the joint venture agreement in the instance the bid is successful. Letter N, if applicable, straight line diagram per DEO number 246 series of 2024, annexes 8 to 3 and B5A to D. Letter O, accredited contractors consultant project engineer as per DO 148 series of 2024 and DO 277 series of 2024. Letter P, sworn of disclosure of relations and beneficial ownership as per section 81.1 and section 82 IRR of RA number 12009. And letter Q, certification of accredited asphalt and Portland cement complete batching plants. For financial envelope, letter A, original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form, and original of duly signed bid prices in the bill of quantities. And letter C, duly accomplished detailed estimates form, including a summary sheet indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with bid. And letter D, cash flow of quarter.
For criteria and procedure for eligibility check, preliminary examination of bids, detailed evaluation of bids, post-qualification and award. Bidders should have completed within 10 years from the date of submission and the receipt of bids a contract similar to the project. The description of an eligible bidder is contained in the bidding documents, particularly in section 2 or invitation to bid. Bidding will be conducted through competitive bidding procedures using a non-discretionary pass or fail criterion as specified in the IRR, otherwise known as the New Government Procurement Act or the NGPA. The contract shall be awarded to the lowest calculated responsive bidder who was determined as such during the post-qualification. Bidding is restricted to Filipino citizen or sole proprietorship cooperatives and partnerships or organizations with at least 60% interest or outstanding capital stock belonging to citizens of the Philippines. All bids must be accompanied by a bid security in any of the acceptable forms and in the amount stated in the ITB Clause 16. For the eligibility check, the BAC will determine the eligibility of the bidders based on the PhilJobs registration on their legal aid documents, which should be maintained current and updated, including that of the civil work application, which focuses on the NFCC, work experience or single largest completed contract similar to the contract project for bidding at hand. BAC will ascertain based on the checklist of the required documents to be submitted using pass or fail criterion during the preliminary and detailed bid evaluation. In addition, after opening of bids as per IRR of RA 12009 under Section 61, the BAC will conduct a detailed bid evaluation of all the bids using non-discretionary criteria wherein it requires the completeness of the bid. For the post-qualification, the bidders were advised to read Department Order Number 127 Series of 2018 and other issuances relative to this matter, since the BAC will be very keen and strict on the conduct of post-qualification process, considering that the concerned officials or employees, including the concerned BAC members, will be liable to the administrative penalties if this directive will not be followed. Then 10 calendar days upon receipt of the notice of award, the contractor must comply the documents in the notice of award for the issuance of contract agreement. In accordance with Section 52.6 of RA 12009 IRR, the procuring entity can reassess a bidder's qualification at any stage of the procurement process if there are reasonable grounds to believe that the misrepresentation that has been made by the said bidder, or if there has been a change in the bidder's capability to undertake the project from the time it submitted its eligibility requirements. If any false information or changes affecting eligibility are found, the bidder shall be disqualified from obtaining an award or implementing the contract, as the case may be, subject to the applicable rules under this IRR. The DPWH Camarines Sur 5th District Engineering Office, Camarines Sur, reserves the right to reject any and all bids, declare a failure of bidding, or not award the contract at any time prior to contract award in accordance with Section 70 of RA 12009 without thereby incurring any liability to the affected bidder or bidders.
Additional reminders: three-strike policy in the procurement of contracts for infrastructure works, goods, and consulting services shall be imposed pursuant to DEO number 35, series of 2008, as amended by DEO number 28, series of 2024. Bidders are reminded on different offenses and penalties provided for in the revised IRR of RA 9184 and on the provisions governing the imposition of administrative sanctions for contractors who tend to defeat the purpose of competitive bidding, except for valid reasons pursuant to DO number 28, series of 2024. Classification of offenses that triggers the three-strike policy and exemptions. Number 1, withdrawal from the bidding process, submission of non-participation letter, or failure to submit a bid after purchasing the bid documents. Number 2, submission of late bids without valid reasons as determined by the BAC. Number 3, submission of patently insufficient bid. Enforcement and penalties. If a bidder commits any of the three major offenses or acts listed above 3 times within a year starting from the approval date of the resolution recommending the imposition of strike 1, first warning, which is counted as day 1, through day 365, and if these 3 offenses are of similar or identical nature, it will trigger the enforcement of the stipulated administrative penalty, suspension from participating in all DPWH procurement activities, and entering into contract with any DPWH procuring entity. Subsequently, as per the procedure outlined in Annex A, this will result in the blacklisting of the suspended bidder, thereby disqualifying the bidder from participating in any government procurement activities for a period of 1 year. In conjunction with blacklisting, the bidder will also face bid security forfeiture and must comply with the enforcement of the bid securing declarations conditions.
For the schedule, a complete set of bidding documents may be acquired by interested bidders on March 11 to 31, 2026 until 9 a.m. only, from the address given below in the invitation to bid and upon payment of the applicable fee for the bidding documents, pursuant to the latest guidelines issued by the GPPB in the amount stated also in the invitation to bid. It may also be downloaded free of charge from the website of the Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System, or PhilJets, and the website of the procuring entity, provided that bidders shall be paid the applicable fee for the bidding documents not later than the submission of the bids. Bids must be duly received by the Bids and Awards Committee or Back Secretariat through 1. Manual submission at the address indicated below, or 2. Online or electronic submission through Camarines Sur 5 at dpwh.gov.ph as indicated below on or before March 31, 2026 until 10 a.m. only. Late bids shall not be accepted. Bid opening shall be on March 31, 2026, 10 a.m. at DPWH Camarines Sur 5th DEO, Santa Teresita, Bao, Camarines Sur, and or live streaming via YouTube channel https://m.youtube.com/@dpwh.camsur5deo. Bids will be opened in the presence of the bidders' representatives who choose to attend the activity. Interested bidders may obtain further information from DPWH Camarines Sur 5th District Engineering Office, Santa Teresita, Bao, Camarines Sur, and expect the bidding documents at the address given below in the invitation to bid from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That would be all.
Yep. Thank you, Technical Working Group, for the discussion of technical documents, financial documents, criteria and procedures for eligibility check, preliminary examination of bids, and detailed evaluation of bids, post-qualification and award. I would like to remind the contractors with regards to Department Order number, DPWH Department Order number 90, series of 2002, that all pages must be numbered, paginated consecutively at the top handwrite margin. Each page signed by bidders below page number and the total number of which may be included in the covering page, and signed by the duly authorized representative. All sets of documents, financial and technical envelopes, must be properly bounded. The use of checklist and technical and financial envelopes here to attach in section 9, bidding forms, and shall be included in the first page of the book binding of each envelopes with ear tabbings labeled for each checklist. With that, I would like to ask the back members, WG, back secretariat, and from our observers, if do you have any questions, clarifications, or comments with regards to 25 FM 0054, 25 FM 0055, and 25 FM 0056?
Are there any changes or corrections in
plans, POW, BOQ, calendar dates for the proposed issuance of supplemental bid bulletin?
From end user and planning, do you have any changes with regards with the POW and plans? Okay, hearing none, and since maybe we do not have any questions, this, yes sir. Can you please Sa contract dito daw. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone. Since we don't have any further agenda to be discussed, this preview conference is now adjourned. Thank you. Have a good day.